Do you know someone who is totally incapable of taking responsibility for their own actions, who never admits a mistake, and if something goes wrong, it's always your fault or someone else's? The kind of person who claims to love you, a lover, a friend, or a parent, but if you've had a bad day and seek comfort, minimizes your feelings, or immediately changes the subject to talk about their own problems. The type of person who always tries to control you through guilt, and if you don't do what they want, accuses you of not loving them enough or being selfish. You know, the kind of person who does everything in order to get praise and recognition, and if they don't get enough attention, they get irritated or even aggressive. If you can relate to some of these examples, you probably had to deal with a narcissist, a person with a mental health problem from whom, as much as possible, it is better to keep your distance. So narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder. Let me explain. The word narcissism derives from the Greek myth of Narcissus, a young man famous for his beauty but incredibly cruel, who disdainfully rejected anyone who loved him. For his cold cruelty, Narcissus is punished by the gods who condemn him to fall in love with his own reflection in a pond. When Narcissus realized that the young man in the water he had fallen madly in love with was actually his own reflection, and understood that he could never obtain that love, he let himself die of despair. It is through this mythological tale that the ancient Greeks warned about the destructive nature of excessive love for one's own image. The myth of Narcissus teaches us of a personality incapable of seeing beyond itself, that idealizes its own image, but because of this, is unable to recognize the emotions and needs of others, and therefore pays a very high price: loneliness and despair. We can all occasionally show some narcissism, like healthy self-esteem, a good dose of confidence in our qualities, and an assertive attitude. Expressing these qualities is healthy and can be very helpful in life. However, there are people in whom these traits can be so disproportionate that they negatively affect their life and the lives of those around them. If this happens, the person could suffer from narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD. A person with NPD fundamentally has a deep self-esteem problem and a very fragile sense of self. This fragility causes the narcissist such a sense of helplessness and so much shame that they are forced to compensate by hiding these feelings behind a facade of apparent security and grandeur. This leads to a twisted perception of themselves, which leads them to see the world and the people around them as distorted by a lens that enlarges the narcissist but reduces everyone else in every aspect. Here is a list of situations and behaviors that describe the symptoms of this disorder. If you know someone who simultaneously presents 5 or more of these symptoms, it is very likely that they suffer from NPD. People with narcissistic personality disorder think they are better than others, unique or special, suffer from megalomania, and overestimate their abilities, exaggerate their achievements, and often underestimate the value and achievements of others. They need to be excessively admired, and their self-esteem depends on how much others think well of them, which is why their self-esteem is often extremely fragile. People with NPD think they possess exceptional intelligence or beauty, and believe they should associate only with special, talented, or very important people. Individuals with narcissistic personality disorder are sensitive and irritable to the criticism of others and their failures, which make them feel humiliated and defeated, and to which they may respond with ruthless anger, and in general, tend to avoid situations where they may fail. The narcissist always wants to be the best at everything, must always be the center of attention, and when someone compliments them, they respond with entitlement and an arrogant attitude. If you have had a bad day and seek comfort, the narcissist will minimize your feelings or immediately change the subject to talk about their problems. The narcissist calls you only when they need something, but is never willing to return the favor, uses others to get what they want, without caring about their needs or feelings. The narcissist cannot stand when others succeed, and if you tell them good news, they will try to minimize your achievements. People with NPD are full of envy and resentment that manifest both towards others and in the belief that they are the object of envy themselves. The narcissist is manipulative and seeks to control others through guilt, and if others do not do what they want, they accuse them of not loving them or of being selfish. The narcissistic person never admits a mistake. If something goes wrong, it is always someone else's fault. They are totally incapable of taking responsibility for their own actions. The narcissistic personality disorder is essentially an inner struggle between illusory grandeur and fragile self-esteem. Behind the shiny facade, there is a soul desperately seeking recognition and love. Understanding this disorder means seeing beyond the surface and recognizing the invisible pain. Although there are biological predispositions, most narcissistic traits, estimated around 80 to 90%, develop primarily through learning and environmental influence, especially from the household environment during childhood. If a parent is inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or unpredictable, the child may develop an unstable sense of self and be prone to constantly seeking approval and recognition from others to feel valid and loved, or may learn to manipulate others to get the attention and affection they lacked during childhood. The adult narcissist was first and foremost a child who suffered, who probably grew up in a toxic family environment, where perhaps one or both parents were also narcissists and therefore may have experienced situations of trauma or abuse. Changing narcissistic behavior in adults is a difficult challenge. Although narcissistic traits can theoretically be unlearned, it is very difficult to change such deeply rooted behaviors. In general, the best way to address this disorder is primarily through psychotherapy, although it is often very difficult for a narcissist to start a therapeutic process because it is unlikely that a person with these frailties will be able to accept that they have a problem and admit that they need help. It is much more likely that the narcissist will discover they suffer from NPD when seeking help for the treatment of other problems, such as depression, which often affects those who suffer from this disorder. If you liked this video, like it, share it, and tell us in the comments what topic you'd like to learn about on this channel. We'll make it simple for you. And if you want to help us make more and more videos more frequently, you can do like our followers on Patreon and visit patreon.com/makeitsimple and help us with a donation. In exchange, you will always receive a reward, and your name will appear in the final credits of our videos. Thank you all, and may the iguana be with you.